Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's meetup. We've started a little slowly. We were already starting to discuss what things are, and we've seen that, before we bring in leadership in testing, I thought it's a good idea that we just brainstorm and talk about topics. And Naveen was just mentioning that, the career path is not very clearly defined for testers, and things such as leadership, especially with regards to testing, it's taught nowhere. It's not explained anywhere what you're supposed to do. uh, if you get a promotion and become a test lead, what are you supposed to do differently as a test lead is something that is not uh, taught or not a part of any skills or any training program or anything like that. So what are we supposed to do is the big question that I have. So initial thoughts. I mean, what do you think about leadership and leadership roles in testing specifically? Naveen, since you were talking already, can you?
Yeah, first of all, that leadership is very much required. It's not like because of agile and we are working as a team and then everybody is on the same page. That is perfectly fine. But when you work at the ground level, according to my personal experience, I have seen that it can not be done, without a leadership role. So adding a lot of things like you have to talk to different team, you have to get the reports, you have to publish the report, delivery, discussions with the stakeholders, and get the things done. You need that level of maturity, experience, and all such things. So I think it should be defined properly whenever you are getting promoted. It should be defined very well, at least in your career path in that specific company, that yeah, this is what the next level, these are the roles and responsibility that you have to fulfill. And I think that should be defined, which is actually majorly missing for QA. That is according to my experience. I have seen that because people really don't know that what is the role of QA lead or QA manager after that. So maybe because of a lot of automation we are doing these days, and then everybody is not focusing on these soft skills or managerial skills. Maybe because of that, or at the company level also, I think they should think about to define the proper QA career path, at least in that organization, which is like quietly well defined for a dev or other folks.
So Naveen, let's suppose we even have a defined career path. So, but there is, in my opinion, there is necessary help and support, or you can say training that would be required to help somebody upskill or transition into a new role. So, do you think it is important for us to not only have a roadmap as far as the career is concerned, but also a supporting training program or something like that to at least groom people into their new role?
I think it should be there, and see, it comes with your experience. First of all, that let's say a 4 years experience guy or 5 experience guy in a small company in a startup becoming a team lead, and he's only having 4 years or 5 years experience, and initially 2 years was he was totally fresher. So that is again a wrong practice, that 5 years or 4 years experience guy is becoming, until unless he's having some really good leadership skills.
Right.
So I think promoting at the right time for the right people, that is also important. The second thing is that the training or maybe some level of grooming is very much required according to me, which is like quite missing. And then that's why like people are lost. That after becoming a manager or senior manager, what exactly same thing I'm doing last year also, same thing I'm doing this year also. Just only promotion letter I got it. That's the only thing, but it comes along with experience. Some people they really grasp it from their seniors, from the higher management. They learn, they read, they learn a lot of good things in terms of reading books and everything. And then some people they get level of maturity, but some people they're still lost. So yeah, I agree with you, training is very much required.
Yeah. Okay. Parish, what are your thoughts on this subject?
Hey, Brajesh. So I think first of all, I agree with Naveen completely. There are many organizations where we do not have any career framework defined. Forget about testers, not for anybody. So fortunately, the 3-4 organizations I have worked with, we always had some kind of career framework defined, where we had the different roles and responsibilities along with them, and also the trainings and kind of skills required mentioned along with that. So that serves the purpose. It is just that there are so many organizations now, right? Bangalore, you go, every corner you'll find one organization. Pune, you go, every street you'll find organization. And everybody is busy making money. Nobody is thinking about the frameworks and the career of people. So I think in today's context, this is a bigger problem. But if you see all bigger organizations, they definitely have something on the career framework. Now that comes with a caveat also. Even if somebody has a career framework, that does not necessarily mean that when I promote, I will exactly have all 100% of bullet points mentioned in that PDF will be fulfilled. As Naveen was also saying, right? Promotion happened, but I'm doing the same work.
Right.
So, so career framework or career has to be seen in two aspects. One is my aspiration, number one. And second thing is what my organization wants. So both personal front as well as what the organization want, both have to be seen together.
Right. Absolutely, Parish. I completely agree with you on that one. In my experience also, I have seen that there are in certain organizations a career framework defined. They even have a supporting training outline, but that is not revisited very often. It's like, okay, we built one, and then it's there. Okay, it also needs to be updated from time to time because things are evolving. The way people interact is also changing, so it requires a change from time to time. And as far as leadership goes, it is, of course, by experience, people gain a lot of the skills, a lot of knowledge and things like that. But there are certain things which you need to learn, and there are certain areas where you need specific training, and if the organizations don't provide that, then there is this dark spot which will always remain, and people will not be knowing what to do and what not to do. And the case that Naveen said, that year on year people are doing the same thing. It's just that they've got a promotion letter and they have absolutely no clue as to what needs to be done specifically. So that is a big challenge. Now, the question that I have is, for the entire leadership program, if I may call it, whether it is a career path and a side by side a training program, who is responsible for that? Is it only the HR? Is it the testers themselves? I mean, the leaders in the organization? Who needs to take an initiative there to do something about it?
That's for me, Brijesh.
Yeah.
All right. So I think first of all, we should not look leadership just along with or just with a lens of trainings for that. Okay. So leadership is a very situational thing. Let me quote two examples of that, and I'll also share that no trainings were provided for both of them. Okay. I was in US working on a investment banking product, a trading platform, and me and my colleague were stuck. And we all know that people in US do not work after 6 p.m. Even 5 p.m. is a little outside window for them. We were there, and it was almost 9 p.m. and both of us were struggling to find something. And then we saw one of the VPs of networking team walking around. He came to us and he asked, "What are you guys doing?" We told him that we are stuck, but we are sure we'll be able to crack it. Just the way we all brag always, right? He said, "Show me." We told him, no, don't worry about it. We'll be able to do it. He said, "I have made the system. Let me see it once." Okay, at 9 p.m., very senior VP, head of the networking team, he stopped by and he asked this question. We showed him, and he just told us one variable to change.
Yeah.
Okay. And that solved the problem on which we were stuck for last 5-6 hours. With his leadership, it was solved. Okay, so that for me is actual true leadership. I mean, he could have simply walked away, he could have gone, he would not have asked us what we were doing, right? That is leadership. That is cut one, example number one. Example number two is back home in India, in the same team, we were working on migration of certain accounts, again, the trading application from one system to other system. And it was a kind of big analysis, 6-7 days of analysis only, which required there. So one of our very junior folk, okay, one of the new hire and just 2-3 years of experience, he saw how we do it for the 6-7 days, and then overnight he stayed and he wrote a Perl script to do that analysis for us, to do that migration for us. That is again a leadership for me. Right. He brought that leadership. So leadership is a very situational thing. We should not look at just with the lens of trainings and probably somebody is coaching somebody to become a leader. That should not be seen like that. Our upbringing, the way we have been raised, the places we have seen, the places we have visited, the people we have met, all of those have a very significant impact on our leadership skills.
Right. Well, I agree with that absolutely, Parish. I mean, leadership skills, some of them are acquired over a period of time through the experiences that we have. Some of them are ingrained into us because of our upbringing. And there are certain aspects where somebody needs a little bit of grooming and support and things like that. So it's a mix of all the things. So 100% in agreement with what you said. Yeah, Faiz is raising his hand. Good morning, Faiz.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I would agree with what Paris said that it first starts with yourself, means from a person itself. But regarding your question, I believe the initiative part should be taken by the individual only. Okay, but means if it can be good. Means what kind of example Paris gave. So such things cannot be taught, but there are some aspects I don't know how to explain those aspects, but for that, if there is some kind of training there, so it would be helpful, because means that kind of aspects you may not be able to learn from they are not, I can say, inherent or something. You can maybe observe someone and learn, but obviously such kind of things takes time. So if an organization wants good leaders in their team, means if they are promoting someone to leadership skills, then they should ensure that they are having some kind of training program for that. Not the kind of thing Paris said, that cannot be that cannot come even after training as well, because that's something which comes from within. But yeah, for other aspects, I think, but here also a person should take initiative. I remember, I think in one of these meetup discussions, Shefali had said that that she asked for some kind of training. It was not for leadership, but some kind of training she asked for in her organization, and now they are planning those kind of trainings for testing. It was not there in first place. So she took the initiative. So my point here is that a person should take the initiative first, and then if the organization supports, then it's organizations is good for organization only, and if they are not supporting, then it's their loss only. Because it's like that joke, that one of the senior person was saying that why should we invest on training on our resources? What if they got trained and move on to another organization? But the opposite person asked him, what if they do not get training and they stay here? So it's like that. So organization needs to understand this point. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Good points there. Now, Jyoti, you are in a leadership role, right? So what is your perspective on this?
Okay, so before that, there are a couple of points which Parish and Naveen said I would like to add on. So, Brijesh, I've seen example wherein there was this fresher of junior of mine. He was technically very sound. Okay, he was doing a lot of stuff. He created framework. So, organization decided, okay, let's promote him to the next level. So he got very quick promotion from a QA to a senior QA to a lead, and then he was made manager. He was promoted just because he was very good technically, now he was assigned a team, right? And there he failed very badly. Okay, it had a lot of cascading effect. Like people, when they used to go and they used to tell the manager about his behavior. So initially they never agreed to it because they had seen him that okay, he is a technically very sound person. He takes the ownership. Okay, he's very loyal, dedicated. But what was missing in him was a leadership. Okay, he was not taught. It's not his mistake. They just saw that okay, somebody is good technically, let's promote him. Okay, then people started leaving. So there was a time when we didn't had any attrition, and just because of one decision, we started losing out people. Yeah. So what point here I would like to add is just don't promote someone to a leadership role because he or she is very good in a IC role. You have to see whether a person is good in a leadership role or not. Here comes the aspect which we are talking about, whether it should be like organizations should conduct training, or he or she should himself go study and read stuff. So all these things, the person who is not clear, you have to teach him or her, because yes, as an individual contributor he was really great. Today also, being his senior, I can say I learned a lot from him where his technical skills are concerned. But where his managerial skills are concerned or a leadership skills are concerned, he was not a good example for me. So even that organization has to see. And another example, Brijesh, I saw in one of my organization, like even I was someone who was in very favor of IC role. I really like that role because it's like you have to focus on your work and yeah, you're done for the day. Okay. But in one of the, and by designation, they gave me a lead role, but the kind of task I was given, it was more of a IC. So I switched to another organization where it was completely a team lead role. And to be very honest, I really enjoyed doing that part. I like stakeholder management. I like coordination and communication. So here also our organization has to see that if somebody is saying that he or she wants to be in IC role, give him some project, let him or her do that project and see. Okay, maybe there is some hidden skills you don't know about that person. Maybe technically on the scale of 10, the person is 5 or 6. Maybe when he's given, sometimes you have to force also, I would say. For me, it was forced. They asked me to manage the team. And then I took the challenge and I realized, oh, wow, I am more good in this. I can get the work done because I have a lot of skills related to stakeholder management. I can create a bond with people quickly. So it's mixed of both. You have to see if person is ready or not, or at times you have to give a person a project and let him fail or pass and then see what needs to be done.
Right. Yeah, I mean, those were very good examples, Jyoti. I think organizations obviously need to take into account certain aspects, like, what role suits a particular individual, whether it's an individual contributor role where somebody thrives or somebody thrives within the team. When we talk about, leadership roles, they are generally, the general perception is that, okay, they will have a team to work with, but if somebody is an excellent individual contributor and uh, is not a good enough team player, then making that person as a leader of the team may have negative impact, like you said in one of your examples. So that also needs to be taken into consideration. Now, Aditya, you've also joined. Good morning. What are your thoughts on the subject?
Hi, Brijesh. Good morning. So my thoughts on leadership is like actually currently I'm working as a associate level. But my thoughts on leadership is like you should uh, who is working under leadership, you should allow them to do whatever, allow them to take decisions however they want. It's like suppose if they are making a decision, since they are in leadership level, they have to introspect like what are the pros and cons while taking any decision, what will be the impact, what will happen if they take the decision, and what will the positives and the negatives. they have to take judiciously the person, the person who is in the leadership. They should take judicious actions every time, not within a straightforward. Okay, I'll do this. Okay, whatever happens, let it happen. We'll see. We shouldn't do that. We should think twice, think everywhere, introspect every time, and judiciously we need to take actions. One thing. Second thing is, if they are making decisions, people should not intervene them. They can ask suggestions from everyone. Collective, they can ask collective opinion and make decision. So yeah, this is about my opinion on the leadership. Uh, the art of decision making is very important in this role. That's what I feel.
I think you brought a good point, and I would like to bring Naveen in the conversation again. Naveen, I think what Aditya was referring to has a lot to do with empowering people as well to be able to take their own decisions, but obviously taking the decisions very judiciously after uh, having a collective opinion. So in your experience, have you seen this kind of empowerment being given to teams and individuals, and it with the intention of actually fostering leadership within the team and the individuals? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is actually a very valid point Aditya raised. This is actually called a leadership skill, right? That
Yeah.
see, the problem is that, for example, let's say if I take my example, a few years back, I was working as an automation lead, or I would say individual contributor, or kind of main into framework and totally into designing stuff. And then suddenly I got a leadership skill. I became an SDET manager. So that ego was there with me that, okay, no, I have to do my work. I have to write the code. I have to design the framework. I am the expert. I'll do it. And then no, you cannot, I always like intervene what exactly my team is doing. I think that habit we should avoid. So for me also, it took 3-4 months of time to understand this thing that, okay, no, we should empower other folks also. They have to learn, and then you have to compromise somewhere. You have to, take aside your ego and then find that, okay, yeah, this is what I have to deliver. End of the day, the delivery matter. And the kind of other team members are doing that. I think we should appreciate that, and you have to compromise your own things. You have already seen a lot of things in your career, in your life, so let them also, also inspire them, and let them also do their work, and give that opportunity to them to grow. I think that is very much required. What exactly people have seen that, okay, they become leaders, but they just try to steal their work, and then or just try to highlight their work in their form, and they never appreciate their team members. Second thing is that they just try to cover everything. They just want to take the 100% responsibility whatever they are doing. They just do it by your own, and then they say, okay, fine, at the end of the day, Naveen has done everything. I think that should not be done. You should avoid your egoistic unnecessary in these cases, and then empower your other team members. Okay, so I think that is a very valid point. Another thing is that Jyoti raised a very good point. What is happening, especially in big companies? I have seen personally. I was working with one of the number one Fortune number one company retail in the world. That is a lot of IITs and IITs people were coming over there. 80% crowd was coming from really good IITs and really good colleges. And within 2-3 years, they were becoming a staff engineer, principal engineer. In fact, after 3-4 years, they were becoming managers also, directors also. Within 5 years, the promotion was like anything. And badly they failed over there after becoming a manager, or they were not able to manage the team because they really don't know how to do a people management, and how to go with others. So they were always working as a totally into technical area, individual contributor kind of role, and they were not majorly focusing on what exactly the people they want. So that's why like the people started leaving, and then abusing, and then bitching about, and then the culture was totally disturbed in that case. So I think art is a bad culture generally we follow in India, that you will not see there in European countries or maybe in US. That is my experience. So in India, it's terribly horrible sometimes in most of the product companies and most of the good startups. You go to any startup in Bangalore, as Parish said, And within 5 years, if you're coming from really good college, you can become a manager also. That is true. After 2-3 years, every 6 months, people are getting the promotion. So that is absolutely true. So that's my take. And
So how
leadership.
do how do you tackle this problem, Naveen? Now that this problem is identified, what is your recommended solution for this one?
See, I think once you join, it doesn't matter from where you're coming, from which college or which company, what's your background. It totally depends on your skills. And I think there should be a common framework, at least basic level of framework, where we all are on the same page. The same framework will be applied to you also and applied to a person who is coming from Google or IIT or whatever. That it should not be differentiate, for different people in that way. So first of all, the basic documentation should be there. Otherwise, this confusion is always there. Okay, what is my next role? How on what basis this person got promoted? And I'm
Mhm.
working in this company from last 4 years, and I'm not getting promoted. Every year, I'm just
Because you did not go to IIM and get that management degree.
that's a wrong concept. I thought it should have been sorted out, but still, the same situation, same thing I have seen in my previous company also, in last to last company also, everywhere I worked with Cisco, Walmart, everywhere the same concept, same thing. People are still following that. And in fact, there are a lot of good talented people who are not coming from IIT or IIMs, but still they're doing really great and they are not getting promoted. But at the same time, you spend 2 years from IIT Kharagpur. I mean, coming from IIT Kharagpur to spend 2 years in Walmart and become a SDET a 4 or staff engineer or principal engineer, and then make really good money. And then you cannot handle the lead team over there. So that is like absolutely a disaster according to me.
I think you brought in some very good points, Naveen. First of all is not only empowerment but also delegation. That's an important aspect that you brought in, and also this particular point where the selection criteria for a promotion should not be limited to what school you come from or what company you worked previously and things like that. It should be depending on the work that you do in the organization, plus the kind of framework that the organization has for considering such aspects.
See, as Parish said, right, that it's situational based. Absolutely agree with that, because on what situation, how exactly you will react for your team,
Right.
as a leader, it comes along with experience.
Right.
So whatever you have seen the world in last 10 years or 12 years, it comes along with the experience actually. So this is the way I think a leader will behave in that way, because he has seen that situation, he has sorted those problems in that situation. So the same thing, the same kind of experience that apply in that particular problem also in a new organization. So it's not like within 1 year or 2 years, that is I mean, not the right choice for a immediate leadership, just because of you have some really good grades.
Right. No, I have experienced this myself in India with promotions being handed over to folks who are from premier institutes, and uh, missing out because I was not from a premier institute. Uh, uh, you know, little consideration was given to the work that we do or the skills that we have in the organization. So I know what you're exactly talking about. I also know that I have seen this, experienced this myself, that the thing that you spoke about, that in Europe it is different. It is not about what college you come from or what company that you've joined from. It is purely depending on the merit as to what kind of work that you've been doing. And if you have managed to do exemplary work in 6 months, you get that promotion no matter what, from where you're coming from. And if somebody is missing out in on that opportunity, then he or she has himself or herself to be blamed for that, not the organization or the educational institution or whatever. Well, I also see Nitin and Amutan join the call. Good morning, guys. uh, so we are talking about various aspects of leadership, and we are talking about the challenges that we see, and what we can uh, do to get around them. So Parish, I want to bring you in again in the discussion. Uh, a couple of things that Naveen and Jyoti have mentioned. What are your thoughts on those subjects?
Yeah, thanks, Brajesh. I was just about to pitch in. So I think first of all, we are little distracting from our topic. Leadership does not necessarily mean having a team or people reporting into you.
Mhm.
Okay. So every time we hear the word or listen to the word leadership, we think that somebody will have a team or will have people responsibilities. That should not be seen like that. Okay. Number of people reporting into me does not make me a big or small leader, first of all. And leadership, there are different kinds of leaders, different kinds of people who can lead in different ways. There are people who lead by title. Okay, if I am a director of something, by my sheer title, I would be able to lead somebody. Okay, some people lead by sheer skills, as Naveen was mentioning. He has been into automation and he was into IC role. Jyoti was also mentioning that, and they were there because they were leading from that front. And then there are some people who lead by influence. They do not have any team. They have nothing. Nobody reports to them on the paper. But just because of their influence in the organization, how long they have stayed there, how well they talk, how much rapport they have built with others, they lead through that as well. Right. So all these are also equally important. It is not about how many people are reporting into me. That should not be thought that way. Now, having said that, now Jyoti was talking about a very interesting point that a leader failed because, a person failed because he was given a managerial position. So that person did not fail. The person who promoted him into that role, that person actually failed. So one of the tasks, one of the responsibilities of us as leaders is to make sure that we do not let the next level fail. Now, that is my biggest responsibility. Okay, well, and Aditya was saying about judicious decisions, right? These are the decisions which we make. Sometimes people think that we are harsh, we are not taking the right decision. I know there has been a lady in my previous organizations, 2 years, 4 cycles of promotion. I could not promote her because I was not convinced that she would be able to lead that team. I told her, if you want to be an IC, it is okay. But if you want to have a team responsibilities, I can't promote you. You have to do these n number of things. And then we will revisit every 3 months, every 6 months, and then we will do that.
Right.
Okay? So, we as leaders have to make sure that the next line of leaders do not fail because of our decisions. That is the true test of our leadership.
So Parish, how do you now this is you gave a good example of going through 4 cycles and yet not being able to promote somebody. So how do you handle such situations? I mean, uh, will you still have that confidence coming in from that other person who will actually believe in your decision and say, okay, you know what, Parish is suggesting something to me and it is for my good? How do you ensure that that kind of thing happens within the people that you are managing?
It does not happen, Brajesh, honestly. So 1 cycle, 2 cycle, the person may keep on trusting me that Parish will do something. But if it becomes 3 or 4 cycles, that person's trust on me, it goes for a toss.
Right.
The things, the way our mind works, the doubt will come into it. Things like Parish is partial, Parish is not looking at all the aspects, grapevine talking on the floor, all those things, canteen talking on the floor, somebody will say something. Now those things come into picture. But that again should not deter you from taking the right decision.
Right.
Okay. And that is why we have heard this terms. Somebody is a very hard taskmaster or is a hard leader versus soft leader.
Right.
So that is what you do. And how to solve this problem is by effective goal setting. As I said, that every 3 months we used to talk, we used to have specific actions. We used to delegate more. Okay, but if somebody has to be in that role, you delegate more. You see how somebody is facing that, how somebody is reacting to that, how easily those things are being solved. And then you talk about that. You play not only as a manager, but you also play a coach role there. And you tell that, okay, you have solved this problem this way. How about if we had thought it in this perspective? How about if we had taken in this way? right? So sometimes it is frustrating for the associate, but I think it is for everybody's benefit. We should not take very quick decisions on, especially on the promotion when people are involved. IC role, I'm still okay. I do not worry too much. Personal aspiration takes precedence, but when somebody has to lead a team, people are involved. There are many other variables which come into picture. Attrition will be as Jyoti was talking about, right? Now that is a big problem. The whole team's chemistry goes for a toss. All these are big issues.
Right. Absolutely. Naveen, you've raised your hand, so please.
Yeah, I just want to add one point. Absolutely, the same situation I have seen in my career, especially from last 4 or 5 years. Being a manager or being a leader is not an easy task. First of all, you have to maintain the chemistry of the team, and then you have to take care about everyone. You cannot be partial, and you cannot take an immediate decision on the basis of that. Okay, someone is very close to you, or you are working very close to him, so in that case, okay, let's promote him. No, I think other factor that I used to do, that I learned from my seniors, that why don't you do a one-on-one meeting with them, and in every 15 days, in every week, just schedule it. Because sometimes what happens that, okay, you are talking within a team, having a team meeting, and people are not very much vocal about it. What are their concerns, what are their aspirations, what exactly they want to do. Just have a one-on-one meeting at least once in a 15 or 2 weeks or 1 month. Just try to do that. And this formula was really working for me. They were actually telling me that, okay, Naveen, this is what I want, this is what I feel about you, about the team, about the company, about the project, about the work. This is what I really want to do now. I really want to learn React, or I want to work with some UI development also. Can you please look into? So it shows that, okay, yeah, this person is very much vocal about what exactly they want to know. So I think, and talking their okay, not exactly the personal stuff, but how exactly their personal aspirations are very important. I think 101 will really help. Just admire them. What exactly some people, they do it that, okay, they have 10, 15 team members, and they hardly talk to them. They hardly discuss about their career goals, about their career path. In fact, as a leader, it's your responsibility also to tell them and to update them, with the feedback, with their growth, what exactly they have done from last 3 months. The proper, quarterly meeting should happen between you and your team member. 101 should be there regularly, so that you can guide them, you can update them. Okay, this is what you are lacking, and this is your strength. And still, there is an improvement area that you have to improve your maybe communication, or maybe PR skills, or maybe I think you should be involved more with the team, and then take some seminars, and then involve with some other technical activities, and talk to different stakeholders. You are a matured guy, experienced guy. So sometimes you have to wake them up. So that is, I think, very much required, and discussion regularly on a regular basis, 101, in the form of 101 with them.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Amut and Shefali, you've both been in the discussion for a bit. So, what are your thoughts on leadership and how it needs to be handled?
Yeah. Hi, Brajesh. Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, and to be frank, leadership is very, very complicated, right? It changes from people to people, and how people perceive it. I remember one interview, and there was a guy who told he was a very good leader, and then I was wondering, like, what makes you a good leader? And then he suddenly told me I was a good chess player. Okay, I was wondering why this guy is telling is a good chess player. Okay, then I asked him how playing a chess can make you a good leader. And then he told, um, as a chess player, I know what are all the strengths that I have, right? The rook, the king, the queen, the soldiers. I can able to assess each of their strength, and I can, if I know and their strengths, I can play on the merit of their strengths, and then I can win a game based on that. It was really a wonderful way of putting it, right? So as a leader, I think we need to be very sure about what are the skill sets the people we have. They possess. We need to know about that, and we need to always play on their strengths, right? So I always see people, the leaders trying to have everyone work on everything, right? That's very difficult, right? If someone is very good at manual testing or performance, just make sure that they work on their strengths, right? That's very important. And I also see two different kind of leaderships. I have worked on two different companies, two eccentric managers. One is more of an autocratic style. He tells and we listen. There is no other going back. And there is another manager who I work with, who always listens before taking any decisions, right? So there are two different set of leaderships, but I think the second one is more successful. What Naveen told is absolutely fine. He sets up some meeting every 15 days. That's what exactly he does. And he always listens, what are your ambitions, okay? And are you pursuing towards that? Do you feel motivated to work here? So what are your problems? Do you see any concerns around the people around you? They might not be speaking to me directly. If you see, okay, if anyone is having some trouble, you can also let me know if someone is facing some issues, right? So this is a way how a leader should behave. And this leader, actually, if there is an escalation, right, he takes it on him, right? Even though it belongs to the team, he takes it on him. And if there is some appreciations or something like that, he passes it on to the team. And I think that's one of the very good capability that I have learned. I'm still learning from him. And I'm not a big fan of autocratic style of leadership. I think people listens in IT. I think there shouldn't be any place for autocratic style. More towards listening to the people and understanding their needs. And even if you are not able to satisfy their needs, we need to be very frank. Okay, we cannot promote you within 1 year or 2 years. It's not possible. It's because of the budget, or we don't have enough position here, whatever. But they need to be really frank so that the people can make their own decisions. And that's how I want my leader to be. And I have been working under one such person. That's something that I get inspired to work with. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Amutan, for that one. And I think that was a very good example. It reminded me of a story that is there. I think people can see it on YouTube, which Dr. Kalam mentioned during his days as a project manager in ISRO, when he was managing SLV-3 program, and the first attempt failed, and he was the project manager, so he was scared of facing the press. And that time his boss was Dr. Satish Dhawan, who took the blame on himself, and he said, and he promised to the country that within a year there will be a successful launch. And I think within 11 months they turned it around, and the launch was successful. And then he asked Dr. Kalam to go ahead and face the press, because the success belongs to the team. So yeah, good example there, Amutan. Shefali, your thoughts?
Yes, Brijesh. I think I will agree to what Parish said, that person who is getting promoted to a leadership role is actually a huge responsibility is there on that person, because whole of the team is there, that is dependent, or the career path that is there. So a lot of things depend on that one person. So if that person was not rightly promoted, if there are some skills that are lagging in that person, like he's not a people person and he doesn't know how to communicate, or he doesn't know how to plan the career path for their associates. So I think it takes a toll on the whole of the team. So uh, he clearly, he's rightly said that everything needs to be kept in mind while you are promoting a person to a leadership role. Not only just how many years he or she has spent in the organization should be the only criteria for promotion. There are really a lot of things that needs to be considered while doing that. So yeah.
Right. Now, Faiz, I have a situation for you. Okay, I see that there is somebody in the team who has been doing great work. He has been an excellent IC, but he also shows good team management skills, and I end up promoting him because I see that streak in him, and because the organization believes that he will do great justice. But then down the line, we see certain issues in that person being, able to manage the rest of the team. People have joined the team new. They are coming in from a different culture. So and this guy has his own way of working. So what, because you are the one who's promoted this guy, what will be your reaction to that kind of a situation?
Uh, uh, if I am in that situation, then I will probably first talk to that guy first, because means see, I have promoted because I have seen what he is capable of doing, right? But everyone is human, so everyone is means everyone can make mistakes. So I will first approach him. I will understand why it is like why he's not able to handle the situation. I will make him understand that see. Means if new people are joining, so definitely they are coming from different kind of cultures, right? And our company culture might be different, so he needs to understand that and need to uh, provide them with that information first, and he need to give them the time to set into that kind of environment and culture. Okay, and so I would tell him to have such kind of understanding and have and be patient, and likewise. So that would be, I think that thing I would do if I would be in that place.
Well, I'm trying to sort of enlist certain qualities that is coming out of these discussions. So delegation is one thing. Being decisive, being judicious in decisions, then empowerment, then being open, being able to talk to the people. Some of the qualities that have easily come out. And as you brought out another excellent quality, and that is patience. And this is very important. A lot of times we fall short on patience, and that's where mistakes also start happening. And it is very important that we persevere in what we are doing, but at the same time are patient about the results that we get. With aspects such as leadership, it is hard to expect overnight results. So yeah, that's what. So Aditya, what is your thought process on this whole discussion so far?
Yeah, Pritesh, one more point even I got. I can explain with an example. Okay. Like suppose, okay, if Naveen or Amutan, like they found, suppose we three are working in an organization, and okay, Naveen tells or Amutan tells us me, okay, hey Aditya, since 2 years, since past 2 years, okay, you have been doing great, and okay, I'll promote you. So even if they are finding talent in me, and if they are finding some capability on me, we shouldn't accept with like on the go. Even when they are giving promotion, even at the end, the person who will be promoting, who will be getting promoted, even he needs to think twice. Okay, what will be my responsibility? How should I handle it? Whether I will be capable or not. If I am capable, how should I handle it? He should he should think twice. He should introspect himself. What all things is to be done, and then he needs to accept the promotion.
So you mean that if I am due for a promotion, and I said I believe that I am getting I'm in line for promotion, and I get that promotion, I should still discuss this with my management, is what you're suggesting?
Yes. Okay. Pritesh. Like suppose it's like okay, if he feels okay, if the person feels okay, still I'm not capable, I need much more time, then you assess me, and then you can promote me. That guy can definitely tell to their managers who is promoting them, rather than accepting first say and doing things. This is one way we can do.
But isn't there too much peer pressure? My friends have got promoted. I'm still not promoted. So how do I handle that?
See, peer pressure is also there, and even when you get promoted and when you don't, when things doesn't happen from your end, even then also peer pressure will be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So Parish, what do you
I
think?
think, yeah, I
Parish,
think
what
it's a very interesting point Aditya has raised. And this is not very uncommon, Aditya. If you see Europe and UK and US, this is how we do. Before promoting somebody, we ask that person that, okay, we have this role for you. Would you be a game for this? Would you
Yeah.
like to pursue this? And only then we do that promotion. In India, the thing is opposite. We are so much obsessed with promotions and salary hikes that every 6 months we want promotion. And that is why this particular thing does not work well in India. But yes, Europe, UK, and US, this is how exactly we do. We do not promote just somebody on the basis of our own assessment. We ask that person that would you be able to take that role, and then only we do that.
That is true. In India, it's Aditya was absolutely right. There is peer pressure to get promoted, and then after you get promoted, there is more pressure. Whether you're performing or not, or so that is there. Now, I want to bring Naveen again back in the discussion. Naveen, how do you I mean, we've seen this common trend in India. So what is your recommendation for people looking at leadership roles in India? How do you want them to go ahead with their aspirations?
Okay, maybe see whatever the experience that I have gained and whatever I have learned in my leadership role, I would say one more point here, Brijesh, that see, we all are talking about talking to your team and talking to your team members. Either you are a leader or manager or individual contributor or whatever. But I think the ownership is very important thing, and taking the ownership of that particular, let's say for example, for that project or for a QA stuff, whatever the production bugs are coming, you have to take ownership. You have to spend time for that. You have to analyze the things and then deliver the right things to the team. But the second point is that how exactly you are managing the stakeholder stuff discussions also. How exactly you, let's say I want to give you a promotion and you are reporting to me. So I have to present your case to the higher management. That
Right.
also skills very much, I mean, these skills also very much needed. Some people, that is what happens in most of the companies, and what I've seen in my previous companies also in other teams. The managers are really good in terms of talking to the team, but they are really bad in presenting their case to the higher management,
Right.
because maybe they have that fear that, okay, no, this person will not get promoted and the management will not listen to me, or maybe we don't have the enough data for that. So I think the preparation of the data for the promotion is also very important. Now, what kind of data? The data is like how many the what kind of things that he has delivered in from last couple of releases or from last 1 year. What kind of work has he completed, all the KRA, the whatever that we have defined every quarterly, and what is the contribution, what is the role, and is he like how exactly the 360 feedback from other team members, also the peer feedback also very much needed. And you collect the data and then present to the management, present to the higher management, okay, this is what I'm presenting the case. So this way you can solve a lot of conflicts. So other person, as Aditya said, okay, no, other person is saying that, okay, why I'm not getting promoted and this person got promoted, so that you can present the data. You have the proof that, okay, this is what I have collected from last 1 year, from last 6 years, and this is what the data I have. So this person is absolutely doing great. That's why he got promoted and he fulfilled all the expectations according to me. So that is what the data presentation is very important to the higher management, not only discussion with the team. Third point is that don't make unnecessary false promises to your team members that, okay, no, you will be promoted, I'll take care of you, you don't worry about that. You have to give the answer after 1 year.
Yeah.
That I have seen personally, my manager was giving a lot of fake false promises to me, and then after 1 year, and the same typical Indian management line that, okay, no, we will take care of it next year or something like that. That also, everyone, we all have seen that thing. So don't do false promises. If you're doing that, you have to be very manipulative, and that is what the management skills you have to show. And this I would say you have to learn those things as well, that how will you balance out these things. Don't make unnecessary false promises. There are 10 members, you cannot give promotion to 10 members. So that is also the important point I want to highlight.
So effectively what you're saying is stay away from carrots. Well, yeah.
That's true, right? That uh, we are just. I have seen that the managers are habitual of having saying such things that, okay, no, you will be promoting. Don't worry about that, and I'll take care of you. You just do this work, and this person is fulfilling all the things, and then end of the day, the same story, and that person is not getting promoted, and other person got promoted. So you should be very clear in your mind that these are the factors that we will be considering for next 1 year to promote from SDET 1 to 2 or 3 or whatever. So I think you should be very much clear about it and should be properly documented.
Right. Right. Jyoti, your thoughts. You're saying something in chat.
Yeah, Brijesh, I was just adding one more skill which a leader should have, which is like empathy. So I can quote an example. So I was handed over a team, and there was these two resources in the team. One was put in PIP previous year when I joined, and one he was very good resource, but somehow he has started performing not that well. So it was just a week for me, and I was asked, okay, Jyoti, now you have to take care of these two resources, and I give you whole authority. You can put them on PIP, okay? I mean performance improvement cycle. And if you say that you don't want to work with these two people, we are ready to fire them as well.
Oh my God.
But I I was little shocked, like, okay, you were leading these two people before I joined. Now I have joined as a lead, and now you're asking me to just get them fired. This is something which I am not going to do. So I talked to both of them individually, and what I got to know from one of the person who was put on PIP, which Naveen also mentioned, that he told me that, Jyoti, I was never told that I was not performing well. I was just, after like 6 7 months, there was this production bug which got leaked from me, and next day I was asked that, okay, you will be put on PIP. So from him, I learned that it's very important to give a person feedback on
Right.
a regular basis. So what I started doing that, okay, monthly I should meet with this person, and I used to ask him, before you come to this meeting, you share what you did good in this 1 month, and where you need improvement, and I'll come up with my list where I see that you did well and you need an improvement. And it's been 1 year, like I've left that organization, but what I got to know from him, that he has been promoted now. So from a PIP to a promotion in a year. And trust me, I had to hear a lot of stuff from the management, because I was taking this person's side. So it was not any personal favor I was doing, but I could see that why he was it was not his mistake when he was put in PIP. It's just that the leader who was there at that time, the person didn't give him the required feedback at the required time. So
Right.
this was one. Yeah. So that's what I was writing, that you need to have empathy, and you might get some bashing because of your empathy or because of softness as a leader, but personally you'll be very satisfied and you'll be very happy.
No, one thing here, Jyoti, I mean, empathy does not mean being soft. Okay. This is one perception that a lot of people have, that, okay, if somebody shows empathy, he or she is very soft. Well,
Yeah, in fact,
empathy,
I get to hear that, British, that, oh, you're very soft spoken, you are very polite, you can't take harsh decisions. But it's just
empathy,
that, yeah,
and so there are two things, okay, empathy and
yeah,
sympathy, and
yes,
people often misinterpret these two, and
yeah,
and
right.
both of them are qualities of a good leader. Okay. Sympathy comes in situations where somebody is absolutely down and out, and you want to, be there for them and things like that, and that shows in your actions. Okay, that shows that all the time you are soft and things like that. But empathy, on the other hand, is able to take the right decision uh, by acknowledging the other person's condition, and by ensuring that the other person also is in agreement with your decision,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
that's where empathy is. It's not about being soft. That is, you are
Hmm.
showing your understanding or acknowledgement of the other person's situation. Okay. And unfortunately, it gets perceived as a soft behavior just because you
Hmm.
acknowledge somebody else's situation, and you have tried to show support, that, okay, you know what, you need some help, and I'm here to offer you help. Okay. and that gets perceived as sympathy, well, that's one of the things that we have to deal with as humans. And yeah, that's one big problem. Naveen, I saw you raise your hand very quickly.
One last point that is on empathy that you were saying, which is a very good important factor. As a leader, you should have it. You have to make it a balance. For example, let's say
Correct.
if I'm giving you a promotion, and I don't want to disappoint other folks also, because they are also equally good somewhere.
Correct.
वो कहते हैं 19-20 का फर्क है. So let's say equally good, but just to convince them, maybe I can, for example, what I used to do that, we had some budget, and I used to give some, what do you call it, like some awards or some spot awards or something like that, so that by the next promotion, that person is also happy somewhere that, okay, yeah, see, you also did the great job. So I don't want to disappoint you. I also appreciate you in terms of some token money or whatever the appreciation award or anything, 25,000 ka coupon or whatever that we use, whatever according to your budget. You just try to manage such things as well as a leader. Some people, they are not even bothered about it as a leader. And then I think that's one of the good things that you can do, that I used to follow when I was a manager, because you cannot give promotion to 10 people. So
Right.
other folks also them there to really good did job, and then everything was absolutely fine. Maybe they are due promotion to next 6 months or 1 year, but by the time you can convince by giving certain goodies or certain coupons, or maybe some spot award or rockstar award, something like this, you can give their names. I think that's one small point I want to highlight.
Correct. No, that's a very good point. Faiz, you want to add something?
Uh, I think we have discussed everything, but yeah, what I said that sometimes it's getting misinterpreted. So what Naveen said, like it is kind of a positive balance, and I would try to say that we could have one that kind of balance also. That means as a leader, you need to show that even means you have the empathy, but it's not like you will what can I say means it should not be like people should take you like easily or granted. So that should not be your case. Otherwise, it would be difficult for you in a leadership role. So while being empathetic, you need to make sure that it's not that kind of image you are, creating. So that's what I would like to add. Thank you.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. In fact, I have been in a situation where I have been accused of taking sides just because I was, empathetic, and then I had to balance it out with data. That I had to back my decisions with data, and I had enough data collected over a period of time, which I presented to the management to put my case, saying that while people feel that I am soft and I am showing extra empathy or sympathy towards a few people, this is the reason why I'm doing it, and I have the necessary data. So it's very important that decisions are backed by data. uh, and if you want to have a good journey as a leader yourself, you have to be cautious about the repercussions your decisions may have in a positive or a negative way on the team, and the people around you. Your management is constantly going to be looking at you. You're going to be judged for the decisions that you take. You're going to be judged for the decisions that your team is going to take. So while you empower them, you have to be very cautious about a lot of aspects. You have to, in certain aspects, be with your team and saying, okay, you know what, I'm empowering you. You can take the decisions, but always make sure that whatever decisions you take is, taken judiciously, as Aditya said. Considering all aspects, considering all the necessary data that you have with yourself, and you know that's something that I have learned, because I've been on spots where I was outrightly accused of being partial towards a couple of team members, and then I had to take steps. Fortunately for me, I had enough data with me, so I came out of that situation. But that accusation was something hard, something that I did not expect from the management to come in. But those are some of the things that we have to go through sometimes in our journey. And Naveen, you mentioned very rightly that having these meetings with your team members at a good frequency, 2 weeks, 3 weeks frequency, and talking to them about their aspirations lets your team members also understand that, okay, you as their leader is interested in them growing, and you're not just thinking about your company, your business, your profitability, but you are genuinely interested in your team and in their growth. And that's why they will open up more. They'll be happy to take your suggestions and feedback. And if at any point of time you need to tell them that boss, you need to wait for another 6 months because I see that this is one area where you need to work on, they would be ready to invest those 6 months of effort and wait, rather than saying, I need promotion, I need promotion, I need promotion.
Yeah.
Right?
So, Brijesh, one thing I would like to ask to you and Parish, because you guys were in that same role. What if you promote a person and then hike in the salary and promoting to some really good role, and then suddenly that person leaving the company after 1 or 2 months? How will you handle the situation? You have to be answerable for that.
Right.
To the management that, okay, you be recently promoted, giving 30-40% hike within 1 year, everything is perfectly fine, best project, and still this person left the company. So why? And then you will hear some other things from your other team members also, that, okay, yeah, see this person got promotion and then this person is leaving now.
Parish, you want to take that first?
Sure, Brajesh. So Naveen, I personally have done it twice. So, I mean, that's really, as a manager, that makes things difficult. As Brajesh was also saying, a lot of people come questioning you that were you not aware that person is going to leave or somebody will leave? But I think it is more of the personal choice, right? I mean, I'm probably I could be biased here. Brajesh can give the other perspective. Why I'm saying this is because I have done it twice. Okay. And it is not that I was unhappy with my organization or I was unhappy with my promotion or my hike. It is just that the other role which has been offered to me, that sounded more interesting, as simple as that. Okay. And to be very honest,
promotions fine, but I'm talking about in the manager perspective that he has to be answerable now. You got the offer, you left the company. For you, it's a perfectly win situation. But once the management, the HR will come to them, okay, hey, see, you gave 2 promotion and these 2 persons are leaving now or left now. So how will you handle this then?
Well, there's no thumb rule for that, Naveen. I mean, we just try to play with words. We try. I mean, of course, it is our failure that I was not able to give that person what he wanted. Probably promotion was not the right thing for that person. That person's motivation was something else. So I probably had misread that person's motivation and tried to motivate him in a different way versus what I should have done. So that of course is my fault. But no, I'm trying to make a bigger point, Naveen, here. This is not just about having somebody retained or giving promotion and having him stay, right? As leaders, we should be very open to that. Okay? I mean, if I am giving somebody in my team a promotion and 6 months down the line he leaves this organization, it is completely all right. So I mean, I want to see it like that, as simple as that.
Well, I have been in that situation, and this has happened to me twice. That I promoted somebody, and in a very short span of time they've left. That has had a drastic effect on the team, because the team obviously saw that, and they were agitated, and they also wanted to leave. In one case, I saw 3 other people also leaving because there were opportunities in the organization that the other person joined, so they also tagged along with this guy. And all of this within 2-3 months of a salary hike and a promotion. And So for me, it was a very tight spot that I was put in. But then, at that point, I could do very little. But then going forward, what I did as a practice is to try and get more closer to the team, try and understand what their aspirations are, what are they exactly looking for in terms of, in terms of not just a role in the organizations, but in terms of a social well-being. If they are looking for something which is not in the realm of my current project or organization, they might just jump outside. And as a leader, if I'm aware of what they're looking for, then I can probably try and see how I can bring that, possibly, talk to my HR, talk to my management, and see what can be done about it, if that is indeed the case. If not, then we just leave it to that person. And I tried doing that. Fortunately, in such a long period, I have had only 2 such instances where 2 people have left. First one, of course, it caused a little bit of a cascade with a few other people also leaving. So yeah. So I mean, it's a very tough call, Naveen. I mean, there is no fixed answer for that. And like Paresh said, if somebody has an aspiration and they want to leave, they just want to leave. I mean, they would not care about the organization or what you are saying.
And Rajesh, to add to that, right? Sometimes we as leaders, we also misjudge aspirations.
Correct.
Right. I'll tell you some examples. There were a few people in my previous organizations. They want to move to the BA role, and I was insisting, no, you stay with me and my team. Right.
Yeah.
I will give you promotion. I promoted them, but probably I think no, they were not too vocal about that aspiration or that motivation. That no, only a BA role will motivate them. It will not be the promotion that will motivate them. They accepted the promotion. They took the hike, and on that particular hike, they shopped another offer into BA domain, right? So BA was kind of a better motivation for them as compared to promotion. But my misjudging was that I thought that by giving a promotion, I would be able to retain them for a couple of more years. So that misjudgment often happens with us, Naveen. Now, having said that, I think why I want to talk about one more thing, probably that is doing the right thing. Okay, Jyoti was also talking about empathy and the example she shared about it. So the point is that are we doing the right thing? And right thing is very subjective. Right thing in one situation can be something else, and in other situation can be completely opposite as well. Right. So as a leaders, we should always try to do the right thing, and sometimes we do not do the right thing. And the examples we talked about, giving somebody promotion or giving somebody a balanced award. So these things they are very common, and we would be called biased. We would be accused of those things. But from our perspective, we should always try to do the right thing in that situation.
Correct. Naveen, you are trying to say something.
No, yeah, that's absolutely fine, because I have seen the situation with me once. Hardly I spent 4 years in that company, and only one person left immediately after the promotion. That I personally thought, okay, maybe I misunderstood his aspiration. What exactly? Because I was so much regularly, talking with him in terms of 101 and quarterly meetings and everything. And then that person was very vocal about it, whatever he deserved, and I tried to, try to make it best for him. But still, you cannot control such thing. Everybody's having their own personal choice to do that. My question more of that, okay, when you are accused with those things, that an HR and then management will come to you that, okay, see, this person that we gave this opportunity and promotion and everything, but still he's leaving. It means, did you misunderstood or something like that? In that case, that I think that is more of handling the things, that how exactly, whatever you tried your best, and then we gave it, but still this personal opinion, they still want to leave, then no one can stop them.
Yeah, absolutely right. And in both the occasions, when I was called by my management to have a discussion on this, I admitted that I read the aspirations wrong, because I was doing those regular one-on-one meetings with them and discussing with them. and in both occasions I read it wrong somewhere. Okay, in one case it was clearly a case of not just the promotion but the money that was given along with that promotion. That person was not happy and he wanted more, and that's why he left. Okay, so that is something that never came out during the discussions because I did not speak to him about money, and that's where I made the mistake, because money is important. I mean, everybody has their own financial needs and has their plans and aspirations, so they will obviously be thinking about it all the time. So it is important, it is an important subject to discuss. You have to be transparent about the company's situations, the budget that you are handling. Okay, of course you can't share everything, but as much as you can, you make the team aware that okay, this is what is going on. And you, you know even after that, if you are not able to understand the people, person's aspirations or goals or whatever they are thinking in their head, well, you just leave it to this to nature. That's what I would say. Well, anybody else wants to make a closing comment before we all disperse for the day?
Not a closing comment, but a question, Rajesh. Like I wanted to understand
Please.
from you, Parish and Naveen. This is the situation which I face everywhere when I'm into a leadership role. So you can either be aligned to your team or you can be aligned to your management. Okay, I choose to be aligned to my team. Like okay, so what is how do you manage the balance? Like okay, you listen to management as well and you listen to the team as well, and you are able to make a right balance. I have not been able to make a right balance. It's like I'm always aligned towards my team and doing what is right for them and not doing what my managers are asking me to do. So I face the repercussion, but still I'm happy at the end of the day. But I'm sure like it's just been 10 years for me, but down the line I have to make that balance.
Naveen,
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, Parish and you. I have a couple of points to make.
please make your point.
See, Jyoti, you are happy end of the day, right? That matters a lot. So that is see. Another thing is that I think what I personally believe, it depends. If you talk to me, I always take my team's favor. If
Mhm,
they are doing wrong, I accept it. If they are really doing great, I appreciate them in front of the management also. I never hesitate to appreciate them via emails or any town hall meetings are happening or something like that. I used to do that because they deserve it, and it really gives the confidence that okay, yeah, this is what. Another thing is that you should highlight the data, whatever they are doing maybe every month or every quarterly, for a
mhm,
specific person to the management. Okay, see, this person is doing in that way, and I think he deserves that, maybe in terms of some spot award or maybe promotion or whatever. So I think he
mhm,
deserves that. So I think we should highlight those work as well. It's not like end of the year you are highlighting those things, and then 1 year you're just silent, and then that's why, like, you highlight your team. That's what you highlight your work. But exactly, especially in QA, because a lot of things you have to highlight to the management.
mhm,
Sometimes, especially in India, that again the team management is not understanding the what is the role of QA in this project. So you have to highlight the regular QA work. This is what I was facing problem. But okay, why every time dev is always appreciated? Why QA was not appreciated? So
mhm,
I thought, okay, no, I think somewhere, um, the last manager was not doing the great work in terms of highlighting the QA work. So I think you should
mhm,
do that, and then whatever you feel that okay, no, if my team is absolutely correct, just go for it. Other than that, you have to make a balance with the management also. That is absolutely right, because end of the day, you have to think about yourself as well as whatever the company policies also and management policies also you have to follow. But uh, but at the ground level, you have to work with your team members.
yeah.
So I think their support and their that also very matters. So I would prefer that okay, yeah, just never hesitate to support them, never hesitate to take the favor for them. If they are doing mistake, fine, not like in front of all 200 people you are just scolding anyone or something like this. You just take their classes separately, That is what I
Mhm.
believe, that, okay, you just take a separate session for them. Okay, guys, let's have a QA meeting for a quick 30 minutes. And then you, whatever you want to show your aggression or whatever, you just show them why we did that. Why did you miss that bug or whatever you want to, it's within a team only, within only these 5 members only. But that is what I learned. The moment you highlight those problems or those weaknesses or those missing out points to the management, and then maybe your team will start losing their trust on you. That is my personal experience, that what I have seen.
Parish,
Thank you.
those
Okay,
were good
Jyotis, I think
points. Naveen.
your question is even more difficult than what Naveed had asked. So again, I will say the two words again, which I have been saying in the session. One thing is situation, and other thing is doing the right thing. Okay. Now, if you try to break this problem, there are three stakeholders. One is your team, one is yourself, and one is your management, right?
Mhm.
And the answer is that all three of us should be aligned with the organizational goal.
Correct.
Now there could be instances, and there are instances, especially in the operational side. Okay, promotion, salary hike, retention of people, appreciation, awards, etc. That is the part where I always take side with my team. Okay, I am not liked by my HR team because I always do that. I have had almost every week. Some kind of argument with them because I want to do the things for my team, and sometimes they do not agree with that. So that is a given for me. I will take my team side, but then there are certain strategic things where some team members may not understand that. Hence, they feel that no, they are not aligned, and there is a difference in opinion. In that case, you have to play that role of a coach and ask questions. So usually what, I mean, I will give you one situation. We were going into an agile transformation, and some of our team members were not aligned with certain metrics. They said that these metrics are far, we should not use that. I agreed with them, but that was an organizational level call, and we had to do a kind of role play with that, asking different kinds of questions. Okay, what is going to harm if we do this way? If there is no harm and there is an automated way of doing it, let's do it, even if you do not like it. What is the problem with that? Right? So no, sometimes you have to align with what the organization wants. And on the other hand, if it comes about the happiness and motivation and the psychological safety of your team, you should be aligned with your team. So I mean, these are 2 cents from me. Brijesh can add further, but this is how I tackle Jyoti.
Well,
Okay.
I think very good points have already been made by Naveen and Parish. I just want to add one small bit here. Well, I have also been accused by HR of siding with my team, and I have had weekly, sometimes daily meetings with HR because HR did not like the way I always supported my team. But at the same time, it is very important for us to understand that there are certain things that the organization is looking towards, and uh, the team may go through some sort of initial discomfort, but once they understand what it is all about, I think they will have a smooth ride. So that's where it was important for me to relay the things between the management and the team. And what I did in those situations is that I spoke to my management and I told them that it is a little difficult for the team to understand this because they are not able to get the exact picture. So will it be possible for somebody from the management to have a word with the team, and so that they can explain the situation better than I can? Or if they can tell me all about it, and if I can help, I can do it. And in some situations the managers agreed that they should have a direct conversation with the team, take the questions and answer those questions. So I stepped out for a bit and let the team and the management interact directly in a couple of situations, and things were sorted, and the team had a better understanding of what the management was expecting rather than me being in the middle. So sometimes you need to step back and let the management and the team align themselves. Sometimes you may just be the bottleneck. Identify those little areas. It it is good that you're supporting your team, and most of us would want to do that, because we have realized when we were team members that how important it is for the management to, or our immediate manager to take our side in a lot of these situations. So I hope that answers your questions, Jyoti.
Yes, Brajesh, I'll try some of these pointers next time.
Yeah. All right. Any final remarks from the five of you? Okay. And then can we have a group picture? Parish, I hope you are not in your garden. I
think I won't be, because I'm joining from my old iPad and it's not having a camera. Sorry for that.
Okay. Okay. Aditya?
Hi, Brijesh. I'm checking my camera. Joined through mobile. So.
There you are. Very good.
You're joining from Mysore?
Yes, Naveen. I'm joining from Mysore.
Okay, I thought you were different, Aditya. Same.
No. I'm joining from Mysore, actually. Yeah.
One of my favorite cities. Yeah.
I love that city. It's really great.
One more. Yeah. Mysore, I like for a lot of reasons. We can discuss it on some other day. Well, all right. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Guys.
Great discussion, good learning. We will continue this in the upcoming episodes as well, because there's a lot to discuss around leadership. It's not a one-off topic. And thank you for your participation. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a good week. See you. Bye.
Okay, Brajesh. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
Sunday,
Have a
everyone.
great day.
Bye.
Bye.